Hi everyone, welcome back. Welcome to my learning. So today we are going to discuss about data types in Java. I'm sure you all have gone through the previous sessions on installation of Java and IDE, and we have done a simple program of Hello World as well, right? So I hope everyone has gone through the sessions and have done the same by on by your own. So today we are going to discuss about data types in Java. So let's don't waste our time. Let's jump into the topic data types, right? So before explaining deep into the data types, we know what is data, right? Data means it's a piece of information. So that piece of information can be anything. That can be a numeric information, that can be non-numeric, meaning that can be a number or a sentence or a letter or a phone number, anything. So then why we need types in Java? So let me explain this clearly by using a small example program in Java. Imagine you want to write a program in Java to add two numbers. So what you are going to do? If you want to add two numbers, definitely you are going to create a test project, right? And you will create a class, and let's say you are going to add two numbers, like you are declaring as a equal to 5, b equal to 5, and in the output you are going to add a plus b. And if you run the program, do you think in the console you are going to get 10? Hmm? No, because the moment when you add a equal to 5, you are going to get an error in Java class, because the problem here is Java don't know a when you declare a equal to 5 whether that 5 is an integer or it's a string, or or it's a sentence, whatever it is. It doesn't know the type of the data, right? So you have to declare the type as well before you initializing or declaring a variable. That's where the data types are very much important in Java. So let's deep dive into this topic. So when I say data types in Java, we have few classifications of these data types. The first classification is primitive data types and non-primitive data type. Okay. So under primitive data type and non-primitive data type, we have few classifications of this data. Before going to that, let me explain what is primitive data type and what is non-primitive data type. Primitive data types are the data types, or are the fundamental data types or basic data types that are seen in Java, that we have in Java. And non-primitive data types are derived data types, where they might have derived, definitely they might have derived from primitive data types. You will get a clear picture when I explain the primitive data types and the classification, how the non-primitive data types are get derived from primitive data types. So in primitive data types, again we have a classification, or we can make a classification like numeric data type and non-numeric data type, right? So first let's jump into numeric data type. So in numeric data type, we know numeric means it's numbers, right? Number data type. So we have two main classification here. One is integer, other is floating point. So what we have learned, we have primitive data types. Under primitive data types, we have a classification of numeric data type. Under numeric data type, we have a classification for integers as well as for floating point, right? So now under integer, we have few classifications. Those are very important. So the first classification under integer is byte. What's the next classification? The next classification is short. And under this we have one more called long, and the final one is int. So let's consolidate primitive data types. We know those are the fundamental or basic data types in Java. Under primitive data types, we made a classification for numeric data type. Under numeric data type, integer. In the integer data types, we have these four classification. Got it? Great. Now we have floating point, the classification. So under floating point, again we have two types. One is float and the other is double. So these are the classification of numeric data types which comes under primitive data type. Okay, so let's forget about these two as of now and let's explain what are these things. Right, so now byte. Let's explain what is byte. So all these data types are integer, which means these data types, I mean byte, short, long and int, are used to store numbers. That's why they are under integer classification. Then what's the difference between these four? That's the main point, that or the main thing that we have to understand. Byte means it has a range of 128 minus 128 to plus 128. What is mean by range here? The range means, let's take the previous example here again. You are going to add two numbers, right? So when I said a equal to 5, when you give a equal to 5, I told you are going to get an error the moment when you write that. Why? Because it doesn't know, the Java don't know, or we didn't declare what type of data it is. So to declare that correctly, what we have to do, we have to declare the data type, right? So imagine you are writing like this: byte a equal to 5, byte b equal to 6. Then you are going to add a plus b, and then if you run the program, definitely you are going to get the output as 11. What's the difference here? You have told Java like, I declared a variable a and it's of a data type called byte and the value is 5. That's the same scenario for b also. And when you add, it is running because 5 and 6 is a number within the range of minus 128 to 128 plus 128, right? So that's why it is going to run. But imagine like this: you um, declared a variable like byte a equal to 200, byte b equal to 300, and you write, you gonna add those two and run it. No, because the moment when you write like byte a equal to 200, you are going to get an error. That's because the range of byte is minus 128 to plus 128. That's the definition I can say for byte. Byte will hold the numbers within minus 128 to plus 128. So here we'll classify these byte, short, long, int, which comes under integer, with the range that it can occupy. Okay, so it's not necessary to remember ranges for all these four, but at least you can remember the range for byte because it can be asked in any of the interview. So it's minus 128 to 128. It's not a it's easy to remember, right? So you can remember that. But when we go to short, int and long, definitely the range is going to be bigger and the number size is going to be bigger. So it may sometimes we will feel difficult to remember those. So even I don't exactly remember what's the range of short. So let's check it. So hmm, short data type Java size. Yeah, I have it. Oh, let me check my internet connectivity. So when the internet goes, you will get that duck, right? Have you played with that? Yeah, yeah. Here we have the range, right? So minus one 32,768 plus 32,767 and inclusive, which means it includes both minus 768 and plus 767. So this is the range for short. So a number which comes within this range, you can easily use short data type to store them in Java. And next is long. We'll definitely do the example program for all of these data types, so don't worry. So just first let me explain the theoretical portion for this, and let me we will do the programming session for all the data types that I'm going to explain here. So next is long. So let's change long here. Yep, do you see that for long? So it's a huge number, right? So that's why it's difficult to remember. So this is the range for long. So we got long. Now let's take int. I'm not sure whether int, what is the range that sorry, yeah. So the int, we got the minimum and maximum value. So minimum is minus, what is it, yeah. So this is the range for int. Okay, so um, this is much more like this is enough to remember or to understand what is the difference between each of them, because as I said, you don't want to remember these ranges, but of course you can remember a byte, and if you can remember short if you are able to do so. That's it. So byte, short, long and int are the subclassification of integer data types, which has a different range of numbers, minimum and maximum value. So it depends on that minimum and maximum value that it can hold. So you will use these data types according to your program requirement, the program that you have to write. So in the previous example, I have asked you, I mean, we discussed about a program to add two numbers, that is A equal to 200 and B equal to 300. So in that case, which data type you are going to pick? You can pick any data type apart from byte, because 200 and 300 comes in short, long, in that range. It includes that range, but here it is. Let me explain one more thing here. As you see, the range that um, long and short, long has a big range, right? The minimum and maximum value. Whether you compare to short, it has a less range comparing to long. Sorry. So um, if you have a program where your um, variables are not exceeding 2 digits, or sorry, 3 digits, then definitely you can use short. Of course you can use long and int, but it's better to use, or it's a good practice to use short data type here. The reason is, as you see, the ranges are different and huge for long and int comparing to short. The heap memory, meaning the memory that the Java is going to use to save the variable that you have declared, is going to big, right? For example, if you declare a variable called short a equal to 200, and you declared a variable called long b equal to 200, the memory that um, Java using to save the variable called a is less than the memory that Java is going to use for b, because b is declared as long, and Java knows, okay, this is long, So it can uh, the number or the way that it can come and sit in the B position can be a big range. Hope you understand. So see how many digits: 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19, almost 19 digits, right? So the Java knows that when you declare a variable called long b equal to 200, even though it's a 3 digit, it will reserve a memory for this many digits or this many range, because Java thinks, okay, tomorrow it can change, so I have to reserve this memory here. Whether you use short, the memory that is going to utilize under Java is less. So when you write a big huge program of thousands of lines, using these data types accordingly will definitely save your performance here. Alright, so that is integer data type. Next is floating point. So what is floating point? It's nothing but decimals. Okay, decimal data types. We have discussed about integer here. Then how about, or how we are going to declare variables for decimals in Java? We use float or double. So what is so float? What's the difference between float and double here? So float, as I said, it's a data type which is used to declare for decimal. This is the we can differentiate it by the decimal point that it can hold after the decimal. Meaning, it can hold, float can hold up to 7 digits after decimal. Okay, so how about double? Yeah, double is the double of that, right? No, not exactly the double, but yeah, it can hold 15 digits after the double. Okay, it can hold 15 digits after the decimal, not the double, sorry, after the decimal. So that's it. Meaning you can declare with using float. Let's say float a equal to 2.12345, up to 7 digits you can declare. Maybe by by using double you will declare like double b or a equal to 2.12345, up to 15 digits you can declare in Java. So that's the difference between float and double. So here now we have explained the numeric data types fully, which comes under primitive data type. Hope everyone is clear. Now let's move to non-numeric data types. Okay, so we explain numeric data types. Now let's go to non-numeric data type. So under non-numeric data type, we don't have much classification like numeric data type. We have only two classification. The first one is boolean, okay, and the next is char, character, right? So what is boolean? We know, right? Most of us know boolean is nothing but true or false. So boolean data types are the data types that we will it's mostly a return type data type. We don't declare like boolean a equal to true. I mean, of course we can do that, but in the most of the programming, it's a conditional type of data. For boolean we use boolean. Let's say if this condition is there, then boolean, what's the boolean value? If it is present, if then boolean is true. In those we will definitely go through those programmings, but just remember boolean data types are a non-numeric data type which comes under primitive data types, and the values for the boolean data types are true or false, depends on the condition that we have in the program. And next is char. Char means character here. What's character? A character can be a letter, it can be a, it can be b, it can be anything. So to declare letters in Java, we use char. For example, char a equal to, in double quotes you will put n. Why in double quote? Because it's a string. It's not a number or integer or a numeric data, right? So that's how we declare char data type. So we have covered non-numeric data types as well, which comes under primitive data types. All good. Now we'll explain non-primitive data types also. Then we will jump into the programming for these data types so that the base will get more stronger on these types of data types. Now non-primitive data types. So I have told you in the initial part of this session that non-primitive data types are the data types that derived from primitive data types, right? So here we don't have much classification. Here only we are going to explain few data types directly. The first one I am going to explain is string. Okay, string. And the next data type, array. We have n numbers, lot, but this is enough to get an idea what is non-primitive data type. So when I say string, what is a string? A string is nothing but collection of letters or collection of words. I mean, collection of letters make a word, right? A string can be a word or a collection of letters. So let me put a string here like Athirath is taking Java class today. This is a string. Okay, so we'll definitely explain after this session, in the practice session, how to declare a string in the Java and everything, but just understand this is a string. This is how we are going to write a string. So here check, this is a is a letter, T is a letter, again Java J is a letter. So this is derived from char, right? It's nothing but collection of characters is a string. So that's why we said primitive data types are the data types that are derived. Non-primitive data types are data types that are derived from primitive data types, that are derived data types. Got it? So that's string. Next is array. Array is one more example for non-primitive data type, and array is a very huge concept in Java that we have to learn very deeply, and we will definitely learn in the coming sessions. But just to explain array here in perspective for a non-primitive data type, array means it's nothing but it's a collection of unique elements in a specified manner. What does that mean? Definitely you will have doubt, I know. So let's imagine like you have a um, collection of elements that are unique. When I say unique, you have a collection of numbers 1, 5, 6, 8, 11, and you put them in a particular bucket. Okay, so that is an array. It's a numeric array because you have only numbers here. Now let's take another example. You are taking collection of char, which means you have collection of letters A, C, D, E, F, G, and you put them in a bucket. That is a collection of array for char array. that is char array, character array. Okay, so how is declared? Let's take the example of numeric array 1, 2, 7, 8, 9, and you put them in curly bracket. This is an array, numeric array. And how you are going to declare that numeric array? As this is numeric, you will put int because it's an integer, and you will declare the array as a, and you will assign the values. Okay, you're going to assign these values. So this is a numeric array. Got it? Because you have a collection of unique elements here, right? And similar elements. So in the same way, I have explained you character array. How you are going to explain it? I mean, how you are going to declare it? So you will put char b, and is this a number? No, this will throw an error because you are declaring it as char, character, right? So you are going to put it in quotes, comma, b, comma, comma, y, right? This is how you are going to declare a character array. So array is nothing but it's a collection of elements with same data types. Okay, collection of elements of same data. Numeric means numeric, char means char. You cannot write like you cannot include a character in a numeric array. It will throw an error. Will So just for the knowledge purpose. So this is array. So again, this is a derived data type, right? When you write a numeric array or an integer array, this is derived from integer, right? When you write a character array, this is derived from character, which is a primitive data type. Got it? So that's how we can classify data types in Java. So let's summarize what we have learned today. We have learned data types in Java and the classifications under it. So the first main classification is primitive data type and non-primitive data type. Under primitive data types, numeric data type. Under numeric data type, numeric data type. Under primitive data type, numeric and non-numeric data type. Under numeric data type, we have two classifications, integer and floating point. Integer means numbers, and we have four classification for integers, that is byte, short, long, and int. They are differentiated based on the range of numbers that it can occupy. Okay, and next is float. Float means decimal, to declare decimal numbers. So we have two classification, float and double. Float means after the decimal point it can hold 7 digits. Double means after the decimal point it can hold 15 digits. Now the numeric data type that comes under primitive data types, it have two things, boolean and char. Boolean means it will return true or false. So that's the uh, value for true, I mean default value. So not the default value, that's the value it's going to return. Next is char. Char is nothing but character which is able to store the letters. And we explained non-primitive data type. In non-primitive data type, we took two examples. One is string. It's nothing but the collection of letters. So it's derived from character. And array, we have explained. We have explained with the integer array and character array. Array is nothing but the collection of unique elements of similar data types. Okay, so hope that is clear. So now we have few more things to learn here. Few data types here which we have explained have default values. What does that mean? Meaning, if you write byte a equal to 5, the value of a is going to be 5. But imagine if you are not declaring any number, to that. You are not assigning any data to that variable. It, and when you run the program or you run the Java, it's going to return the default value, or it's Java itself going to assign the default value for that variable. Understood? So the default value, yeah, the default value for byte is 0. Okay, for all the integer types, the default value is 0. Short is 0, long is 0, the default value for integer is also 0. And the default value for float, the default value for float is 0.0f, not the capital F, small f. And the default value for double is 0.0d. Understood? And the default value for boolean is not true. I know you might have thought it's true, but it's false. And the default value for char don't have a default value. Okay, so that's it. Hope everyone understood what is data type, what are the classification of data types, how they are been classified, and what are the default value of those data types. Now in next session, let's do the programming and a practical example of these data types, and let's make our understanding more clear. Okay, so yeah, let's jump into that.